Good morning, YouTube. How are you guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's having a peaceful day. Um, so I'm gonna hop into what I'm going to be reading today. So the chapter for today is John chapter 13. John chapter 13, and it says, "Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from God and went to God, he riseth from supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel, and girded himself. After that he poureth water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter saith unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? Jesus answered and said unto him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter saith unto him, Thou shalt never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, If I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter saith unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus saith to him, He that is washed needed not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit. And ye are clean, but not all. Basically saying some of them are clean people and, well, not all of them. And he knew who should betray him. Therefore said he, Ye are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet and had taken his garments and was set down again, he said unto them, Know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say well, for so am I, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that ye shall do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If ye know these things, happy are ye if ye do them. I speak not of you all. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled. He that eateth bread with me have lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it come, that when it is come to pass, ye may believe that I am he. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. When Jesus had thus said, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. Then the disciples looked one on another, doubting of whom he spake. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples, whom Jesus loved. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him that he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. He then, lying on Jesus' breast, said unto him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, He it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. I don't know if anybody knows what that means, but people usually like dip bread in tea or soup, and that's called like sopping the bread. So Jesus is basically saying, the person who I feed out of my hand. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Jesus unto him, That thou doest, do quickly. Now no man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. For some of them thought, because Judas had the bag, that Jesus had said unto him, Buy those things that we have need of against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. He then, having received the sop, went immediately out, and it was night. Therefore, when he was gone out, Jesus said, Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God be glorified in him, God shall also glorify him in himself, and shall straightway glorify him. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. Ye shall seek me, and as I said unto the Jews, whither I go, ye cannot come. So now I say to you, a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, whither goest thou? Jesus answered him, Whither I go, thou canst not follow me now, but thou shalt follow me afterwards. Peter said unto him, Lord, why cannot I follow thee now? I will lay down my life for that sake. For thy sake. Jesus answered him, Wilt thou lay down thy life for my sake? Verily, verily, I say unto you, the clock the cock shall not crow till thou hast denied me thrice. I feel like I read this chapter or read this in another chapter, and I probably did. Maybe not John, maybe Luke, maybe something prior to. Oh, wait. Luke. I think I read it in Luke. Nope, nope, that's not it. I read it before where Jesus had this conversation with Peter, talking about the same thing, essentially, talking about the fact that Peter would deny him when that time came. It's very easy to see something like that. And then when the time comes, it's a different story. When the time comes to actually be in the hot seat for your beliefs, it's not easy, trust me. So prior to going into what I do want to talk about, a couple things I want to mention. So there are, one of the first things that I realized when I woke up spiritually is that the Bible is not just the Bible, not just spirituality, but just anything. I don't want to use the word esoteric necessarily, but say for example, if you see sculptures of gargoyles and you're thinking, nobody really ever sits back and thinks like, how did they come up with this image? Like, did someone make this up? Because you'll see the same images of gargoyles in cartoons. You'll see the same images of gargoyles leaning outside of church structures. Like, where did they come up with this? You'll see the Madonna, that is a statue that is everywhere in all, like, because there's branches of Catholicism. You will see depictions of different like spirits, and it's all literal. If you spiritually wake up, if you have the opportunity to see them, that's exactly what they look like. That is exactly what they look like. Demons look like gargoyles. They do. And it's so crazy because I was having dreams of these things like long before, and I wasn't taking it seriously. Or literally, I just thought it was a dream, but I was having dreams of these things long before. And these things are in churches. They are in the actual church building. They attack from inside of the church. So when they put pictures of these gargoyles outside of the church, you would think, well, why would the church have these images outside? They're even inside of the church. They're even inside. Spiritual leaders, our religious leaders, practice witchcraft. They practice esoteric practices because it is impossible to be a true spiritual leader. I want to choose my words. Do I want to say it's impossible? Yes, I want to say impossible. It's impossible to be a true spiritual leader without engaging in spirituality. Religion, to me, is a uniform way of practicing spirituality. So it's like taking something that is so vast, that is so varied, and then trying to make it uniform and put best practices in place and putting a system together so that people can understand it, so that people who are not necessarily gifted or prophetic or called, but people who need the information, because people suffer for lack of information, but people who need the information can have information, can understand how to walk through life, how to avoid a lot of things spiritually. But because people do not have the information, not only is the real information gate kept, but it's watered down, and there's a lot of lies, and they're purposely misled. People are purposely misled on the spiritual path. So they are told the opposite of what needs to happen. And religion has been hijacked a long time ago. There is a reason why Satanists are very happy to proclaim Jesus to people and pretend to be spiritual, and it doesn't necessarily bother them to say that. I think real spirituality, real prayers with emotions behind it, and gratitude and belief and love of God, that bothers them. Bothers them. That provokes them. But the religion, the formal, watered down, reciting a prayer without any passion behind it, while you're still living a life that is in service of the opposite, that's fine. That's fine to them. But if you actually believe it, if you're actually walking that path, it does bother them. But I find nothing bothers them more than people who know the truth. That makes you a target. That's going to make you a lifelong target, and that's going to put you in a situation where you're going to wonder how comes other people are not being targeted as hard as you. So I remember I've watched tarot for the longest, and anybody who believed in Jesus or referenced Jesus was fine. They were safe. They'd have a bit of trolling, but nothing crazy. Anybody who would reference like what I would call deities like Kali Ma or anything like that, they would get attacked. But no one gets attacked harder than anybody who mentions mother. Anybody who mentions God the Mother are some of the most horribly vilified and attacked people. And very rarely do I see anybody who mentions her at all. Very rarely. But me being one of them, I'm telling you, this is just one thing that it's like they don't want anyone to know. And I used to always wonder, I used to sit back and be like, why do they despise her so much? What is it about her they don't like? Because I cannot find a flaw. I cannot find what is wrong. She is perfect in every way. So I can't figure out what it is that makes all of these energies, I'm not even talking about the people, the energies, what is it that makes them hate her so much? As soon as you love her so much that it is public. So as soon as you love her, you have to talk about it. So you start talking about her, you start telling people, and then you're attacked. And I can only speak for myself. The attack makes no difference as to whether or not I'm gonna keep talking about her. I always will. Because this kind of love that you have for her is so genuine that you can't imagine a day that you would not want to talk about her, that you would not be proud. And as soon as you love this mother energy, they start calling you names, they start saying you're a witch, they start saying you're a demon. Because she is known in, and I saw this on a video where they say in Mexico, they consider her the fastest moving saint or deity. Because what you will not get in Jesus, what you will not get anywhere else, you will get with her. And that is immediate results. She is ever present. She is right there. She is a protector. She is fierce. She is loyal. She is kind-hearted. She is soft. It's like you meet her and then you worry about her leaving you. And you're like, I hope there is never a day I have to exist without you again. And She is worried about your safety. She's more worried about you. She's worried about you being persecuted. And it actually just dawns on me now where it's almost like she is the original targeted individual, in the sense where I know for me, anybody who likes me in my city gets persecuted. Anybody, even online, anybody who likes me, anybody who supports me, anybody who sees good in me, anybody who sees me for who I am, they persecute them, they demonize them, they attack them. They either have to despise me or they are attacked. And it seems the same for her. Like anybody that loves her, that stands up for her, that champions her, gets attacked. And it's like, nothing's gonna change here. Nothing is going to change. Because when you know who and what someone really truly is, she's called Santa Muerte, and when you see her and they call her the angel of death and all of this, and when you actually see her from the outside, it is scary. It's painted as being scary. But who you get to know and what you feel in your heart and how she comes through for you is opposite of what you see altogether, to the point that what she looks like doesn't matter at all. Like, you don't see that. I have described her as the most beautiful, I often say person, but they're spirits, but the most beautiful person I have ever met in my life. And I have never experienced love and acceptance like this in my life. It is so overwhelming that I am not used to it. Still, never judged, given advice, but she'll wait for you to change. Very patient. Doesn't, you are not defined by whatever your mistake is, whatever your missteps are. So I have my moments. I get angry. I get impatient with my situation. Not just impatient for it to be done, but impatient with being annoyed all the time. Impatient with having a microscope on me. Impatient with just the whole targeting experience. And she'll be patient and she'll wait. And she'll give advice and she'll just literally wait for you to understand. It's almost like you're given advice weeks and months before you need it. Like, it's not even relevant. So you'll be told something and you're like, what could this be about? It'll be like, don't eat the red apple. And you're like, what? I'm not around apples. Like, what are you? And you're looking for apples everywhere. And then one day you come to a red apple and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm not gonna eat that apple. It's like that, but with changes that you need to make. So if you need to, one of my things was, I thought the anger was mine. I've gone through this for so long and I haven't been this angry. I've gone through horrible parts of being stalked and I've never been angry. And all of a sudden I have all this rage. And, first she's like, this is not your emotions. It's not yours. And I'm like, okay, because there are things to be angry about, but not this angry. It's not warranted. And then I started noticing, as I pushed away the anger, as I didn't accept it, people in my house would succumb to it. If I were in the supermarket and it happened, people in the supermarket would start fighting. The cats would start fighting. People wherever I was in the environment around me would start fighting. And I realized, oh my goodness, it's not mine. I might feel it coming and be able to reject it and then fight it off. I'm not even fight it off. Once you recognize it's not yours and you feel the onset, you're like, oh, this is not my emotions, and you can push it off. But these are not your emotions. The anxiety is not your emotions. Anxiety about what? You're just walking around in the supermarket. You're just walking around in a store. Where is this anxiety coming from? This is not yours. You not liking people is not yours. So many things are happening in and around you that have Nothing to do with your day-to-day life experience, but it's being projected into your experience. There are definitely things that they do to attack you, but this is not yours. So when she gives me this advice and she says to me, this is not yours, she's so patient to wait for me to come into understanding it. So quiet, and just sits back and waits with no judgment whatsoever. And it is so, the word I want to use is weird, because I've never experienced that before. I've never not been judged. I've never not felt like I had to be a certain way to be accepted. I've never not felt that I had to qualify in some way for acceptance. I cannot explain it. If I know the real her, it is not possible to be convinced otherwise. I have felt her love. I feel it every day. I feel it all the time. The encouragement, the pats on the back. It is impossible to go through life the same way ever again after you felt her love. It is impossible, because you know now what you deserve. You know now what it feels like to have love. You can never accept a copy of it. And it's the kind of love that you will fight for. It's the kind of love that you will protect. And it's the kind of love that you definitely feel like you would die for her. I promise you, when I first woke up spiritually, one of the first things that I said was, I would die for you. I would. And I feel like everybody that comes into her love says the same thing, that you would absolutely lay your life down for an energy this beautiful. And though people try to paint it in every way that they can, it's because they don't want people to feel her love. That's all it boils down to. They don't want people to experience this, because once you experience this, you change. She is literally the energy of love. The energy of love. When they say God is love, when they say the universe is love, they are talking about the Holy Spirit. This is what I have come into. Sometimes I realize that if I step back from the things that I say and the practices that I have, if I take a step back, that perhaps people are not going to understand me at all, because I read the Bible, but I'm very spiritual. So it's like spirituality meets religion. And this is how it intersects, is with realizing that everything in the Bible is literal. I used to think, and I do still think, it is a metaphor for how we will live, that how we should live. But I have no doubt, from what I've seen now, I have no doubt that God can bring people back from the dead. None. I've experienced too much healing. I've seen too many miracles. It's like I have gone through gang stalking, and I realize that though it has been rocky, nothing has happened to me. I've had to learn. I've had to learn how to spiritually cleanse. I've had to learn how to take care of myself. But nothing has happened to me. Things have happened to everybody around me. Things continue to happen to the people who harm me. But nothing is happening to me. So eventually you just come to a point where you say, this isn't about me. I'm going to walk my path safely. There's just going to be a lot of danger everywhere. I'm walking down a very dangerous dark alley. And then it brings you back to the Lord's Prayer, where it says, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's what? Psalms 25. I should know. I'm newer to the Bible. I don't really, I'm reading it way more now than I ever did. So it's Psalms 23, and it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, because that is what we're walking through, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Might as well read it. It's a very short chapter. Psalms 23. The Lord is my and it's funny because this is a psalm of David, and all King David did was fight. All he did was fight through wars. So this is a psalm. All Psalms has to do is with people going through battle. So David writes, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. If this does not describe what I am going through, then I don't know, because I have been walking in the valley of the shadow of death for 2 years. As a matter of fact, I've been walking through it for a very long time, since I decided to go corporate, and probably before, actually way before that. I think I've always been walking through it, to be quite honest with you. There have always been energies attacking me to a degree that makes no sense. From a child. Like, people never saw me as a child. They saw me as a threat, always. And it made no sense to me. And it has been my life experience, and I, in a way, almost just like accepted, like, okay, well, this is how it is. And the only thing in all of my life that has started to make my life make sense is when I met God, when I met my spirit guides, when I stepped into spirituality. It's like the life that I had before was just preparing me for getting here. And now that I'm here, I cannot see things any other way. And I think that there are definitely people who probably think I'm a glutton for punishment, and they're probably wondering, like, why don't I just give up? Why don't I just give this up? Why don't I just give in? And I think I could never live the way that they live. They don't know God. That's why they behave this way. They don't know God. That's why they don't understand. And people do say things like, when you believe in Mother, they say, well, your beliefs are weird. It's not that your beliefs are weird. They just haven't had that experience. It's not that God cannot be around you, or God chooses not to be around people, but you have to be able to feel the emotion of who God is. If you're unable to feel universal love or love at all, then you're going to be unable to feel the presence of God in your life. You cannot feel something that you cannot feel, so you won't be able to feel God. So unfortunately, there are those who, no matter how much you try to convince them or push them, this is self-work. You have to do the work to open your heart to feeling that emotion, to feeling that love, or else you're going to feel empty. You're going to feel nothing. So there are ways, there are practices that you have to put in place in order to get there, in order to feel God's love. Give me 2 seconds. There are practices that you have to have in place in order to feel God's love. Otherwise, you are going to, I was thinking this to myself the other day, that it's almost like you're going through life and God lets you go through the first part of life to experience it for yourself, almost to come back and say, so you went through all of these things that you've gone through. How did it work out for you? How did you like it? And I'll tell you, even though there was no targeting that was overt, because there was targeting. Thank you. There was plenty targeting I have not had with my stores the experience that other people have had. I have not had, I've always had people gaslight me, be aggressive, create issues with me, whatever the case is, for a long time. I've been recruited for many years. They've constantly been surrounding me, trying to recruit me. And I've gone through so much with these people. I've become accustomed to their behaviors, shielding myself from their behaviors, and just pulling myself away from when new people constantly bombard my life, and just knowing that they're going to lash out on their way out when it doesn't work. And I don't think that's any different of me than anyone else that they try to recruit. That's their way. But when you, even though on this particular path of the gang stalking being overt, meaning that they're showing you that they're gang stalking you, even on this particular part of it, you still find that you are, I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go back to not knowing life as I do. I would not go back to not knowing my mother as I do. I would not go back to not understanding spirituality in the way that I do. I think everything says this is saying the same thing. I think that there are energies here that are all the same. They are all energies of death and rebirth. They are all mother energies that are nurturing. They all give comfort. They all move very quickly. And that's what divine feminine means. It is that energy of divine love that takes care of us, that supports us, that shows us what unconditional love truly means. And I feel like once we step into that, once we step into her blessings, once we step into her light, that we are, that's where we find ourselves. That's where you find your happiness. That's where you find your peace with yourself. That's where you feel at ease with yourself. And it doesn't matter, you know, if people make fun of you. It doesn't matter if people persecute you for what you believe in, if people laugh at you for what you believe in, if people demonize your name, whatever they call you. It's the comfort that you feel. And I feel like, you know, you're cradled in a situation where, or nestled, cradled, actually both work. But you're cradled in situations where, or in a situation where you feel so much comfort inside, not just inside of yourself, but inside of your life, that nothing outside truly exists. It's kind of like being in a very comfortable, loving, happy marriage, or being in nestled in a really good friendship group or a good family. It feels so good inside. It's so comfortable. It's so safe. It's so peaceful that though things are happening outside, as long as you are not tapping into it and you're insulated, you could care less. You don't feel it. You don't feel it is what I'm saying. So, you know, you have your, when I spend time with her, when I take time out of the day to be purposeful about spending time with her, about purposefully, you know, whether it's praying, whether it's meditating, whether it's listening to Bible scriptures, reading the Bible, whether it's, you know, listening to preachings, whatever it is, that time that we spend together. And I spend a lot of hours of the day doing this, even while working, dedicated time. As I always tell people, you got to pray, you got to meditate every day. As I spend time doing this, I just feel rejuvenated. I feel good to start my day again. I feel very withdrawn from not just the targeting, because outside of targeting, there's still life. And life, even if you're not targeted, life always has hurdles. Even if you were to have no one opposing you, no one bothering you, life is still gonna have its own hurdles and challenges that you have to navigate. Like, how do I do this? When do I do this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, there's still gonna be things there. This is where I find solace. This is where I find peace. And the encouragement that comes with this lifestyle is always everything that has to do with living my best life, taking care of myself. It can be anything from working out, eating better, um, you know, grooming myself, whatever it is. It's like, this is truly a mothering energy. So if you've never had a mother, like a human mother who's been very nurturing or caring, this is where you find that love and that peace. And as soon as you find her, it heals all of these old wounds, all of these old wounds or issues that you had that plagued you or maybe lingered in you that you never dealt with. This is how it gets dealt with, is by experiencing this energy. You feel safe. She is consistent. She is always there. She is always, even if you've given up on yourself or you've given up on your situation, she's there. She comes in to heal, to assist, to make strong, to make prosperous. And she doesn't even let you give up on yourself. She doesn't even let you forfeit what is for you. One of the things that I wanted to mention, I told this story one time about, because another part of what I read here, and I closed it, John chapter, where is it? I think 13. Yep, 13. There's this one verse here that talks about washing other people's feet and loving one another, and God being an example that no one is better than anyone else. A couple things I want to mention about that. So first things first, there was this story that I told about the fact that there was one time I went to a market that I really didn't have to go to. I went anyway, and it really didn't bring anything to my life in any way. And I got a U-Haul truck, and I remember just getting an urge to leave early out of nowhere. I would have normally stayed till the end of the day, but I just got an urge to leave. It was ending like 6 or 7, and I ended up leaving at like 4. And we packed up the truck and we left, and it wasn't, there was like still space in there. And I remember when we were coming in, we packed it in such a way that it didn't seem like there was any room, but when we were leaving, all of a sudden there seemed to be more room in the back of the truck. And I remember driving past an IKEA, and my mind was like, go get an ice cream. And we definitely did not want ice cream. We didn't want to eat anything. And we hadn't eaten for that day. We just didn't want the ice cream. And when I went there, I went inside. My daughter did not want the ice cream so much. I did a U-turn in the road because she said no. I did a U-turn. I was like, no, let's go. And we got there, and she didn't want the ice cream so much. She didn't want to come out of the truck to go get one. And I went and got them. We ended up tossing them. But we ended up picking up these people. It was a Sunday evening. No, it must have been later than 4. It must have been maybe 6 or something that we left. But whatever time it was coming close to IKEA shutting down. And I remember I saw these people looking at me, and I was already being gang stalked, and I'm being gang stalked by a Latino group of people. And I see this Latino girl standing there, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this better not be gang stalkers, because she keeps looking at us. And she's nervous, and there's a guy with her, and the guy is also looking at us. And I'm like, oh my God, here they come. And they come up to us, and they're like, I just wanted to ask you guys something. Can we pay you to carry some stuff with us for us? And then I go, oh my God, this better not be some trap or some nonsense, please. Because I have been helping gang stalkers for so long, just out of the kindness of my heart. And I remember I went up and I looked, and I'm like, this is not some stuff. There's a couch, there's like furniture here, there's pieces here. And I'm thinking to myself, you can't even call an Uber for this. Like, you actually need a U-Haul for this. And then I realized when I tossed the ice cream, because I really did not want the ice cream, I realized when I tossed the ice cream, this is what I was there for. We loaded it in, and they want to be in the back with the furniture because they don't want to like inconvenience us and all that. I'm like, you people are crazy. If you're in the back, I'm really gonna be in trouble. Like, you got to be in the front. So my daughter sits in the middle on the ground of the front of the U-Haul, and the wife is sitting on the husband. And luckily they were going like not too far, like a couple, I don't know, like maybe 5 minutes away. and they insist on paying me, and I'm like, who cares? It's like 5 minutes away. I had space. It's not a big deal. They're insisting. They don't want to be a bother. But they're also telling me a story about how difficult it was for them to come into the country. And the wife is telling me about all the hurdles that happened. And when she came over here, she got stranded because the way she was coming and the people she was coming with, it's like they lied or something happened. She didn't go into detail. And I just realized these people have been living on prayer. They've been living on prayer. Like they've been staying with friends, and now they're trying to get their own apartment together. And so they had enough. And I said to them, like, did you know you were going to buy furniture today? And they're like, honestly, they had the money and they wanted to do it. And she's like, something told me to do it today, but I didn't know how I was going to bring it home. And I said, you know what? I remember being like that. I remember like early on in my life, I would need to do something and my spirit's just pushing me like, go do it. And I'm like, but how am I going to do this part? And I'm just like on faith, on blind faith. I'm like, well, I'm going to figure it out. And it always works out. And so I get there and they don't even want me to help them take the furniture down. They're like, no, no, no. They're insisting on paying me. And then when I get back to give the U-Haul back, the U-Haul truck back, the money that they gave me covered the U-Haul truck. And it just, because of the distance from the U-Haul to where I was going and driving them and whatever, it was like nothing in kilometers. So it costed next to nothing. I think they maybe gave me 40 bucks. But one thing I realized is that when you are a good person, or you work to be a good person, because I feel like we all have the capacity to be good people in the same way that we all have the capacity to be bad people. And when you work to be a good person, when you go out of your way to, despite it being hard, despite at the risk to yourself, and despite how many times your kindness has been abused and unappreciated, and you know, when you're a good person, you know that the likelihood of people abusing you after you've been good to them is higher than the likelihood of them being appreciative. You know that. So when you get to this point in your journey where you've already accepted it, but it's like your conscience will not let you do anything but be a good person. When you get to this point, you start realizing almost that you become part of an ecosystem where you don't know anybody else in your network, but you are a part of some kind of network where help will come. You don't know when, you don't know how, you don't know who, and you guys do not stay in touch. It's not like you guys know who each other are. It's almost like, and I've said this in past, where you operate out of a hive mentality. It's like, I used to say, it's almost like your spirit guides put out a signal and ask, who is in the neighborhood, who over here can do something for my kid because she needs this. And then somebody says, oh, we're over here, we can do it. And that's how you operate, almost like a spiritual family. And I'll tell you, I noticed being gang stalked, that's how these secret societies function, is, and it's like a little underground network that is in front of all of us. We just don't know. Those of us outside of it just don't know. And there were times where people thought I was a part of whatever this family is. So all of a sudden, it was like, if they thought I was a part of it, people would come over to my store. We can help you. We have a plumber. Don't worry about it. The plumber's charging you next to nothing. We can do this, we can do that, because you're a part of the network, so you benefit of the perks. There are people out there that are not paying for services that others pay for. There are people out there that are just benefiting off of things in a way that the rest of us didn't even know was possible. They're a part of a secret network. And I guess the way that they pay is they have to turn around and do it for other people. So it takes care of itself, but it comes at a price. And when you enter into God's kingdom, it's the same thing. To enter into any of these kingdoms requires being stripped of everything that you had before. So in order to enter properly, you're going to lose things. Anything that even if they didn't do it for you, if they touched it in any way, if they had any involvement in it in the past, any claims to it, you could have built the whole thing and you just had a plumber from that network. God is like, we don't want that here. We'll give you ours. We don't want that here. You lose everything before you come into God's kingdom. You lose old friends. I mean, everybody. I mean, everybody. There was one point I started losing so many people. I was like, wait a minute. You mean I can't keep this one? No. But this one's really nice. No. You can't keep that one. I couldn't keep anyone. I lost everyone. Everyone. Family. People who I don't think meant me any harm either. It was, I guess it's not even about if they mean you harm, if they really like you or don't like you. It's not about that. I lost everyone. Anything that was given to you, you lose all of it. I don't care if it's a chair. I don't care if it's a bobby pin. It's gone. Okay? You cannot enter into God's kingdom with anything, and you can't enter as you are. So it's almost like you get stripped even of your clothes at the entrance. You gotta take the clothes off. You have to take any attachments off. You gotta come naked. Then you gotta get purified. However, I call it purification by fire. You gotta go through torment and persecution before you can make it in here. And you gotta withstand that. You have to be able to survive that. And you survive it. And it's that whole saying of many are called, but few are chosen. So you get your calling, you answer your calling, you show up, and the fire determines who comes in. They don't determine who comes in. The fire determines who comes in. And you start realizing that everything that you went through before just prepared you for this journey. There's nothing here that you are not prepared for. So you're prepared for persecution. You're prepared for people backstabbing you because that's all you know. You're prepared for isolation because that's all you know. You're prepared for people prying into your business. That's all people have ever done. You're prepared for people stealing your ideas. That's all they've ever done. So there's no part of this journey that is, it's like it sucks because it's an intensified version or a condensed or concentrated version, but it's nothing new. None of it's new. And you go through it and you know you're going to get through it at some point because you're like, truth be told, nothing here is something that I've never done anymore before. And now you start realizing that it was happening from so long before because it's an intensified version of what you've been enjoying for a very long time, thinking it was just normal life. But when you get here, then you get restored. And everything here is better. The people here are better, way better, way better. The love here is real. It's love. People will be like, well, you're being persecuted, but they don't feel God's love. They've never felt it. Feeling God's love makes you behave a certain way. Feeling God's love is why you can go through this kind of experience and still be a very loving person who is just and kind, because that is the example that they set for you. It is very difficult to see this kind of example set and you behave in an opposite way because you have something to compare and contrast to where you can say, this is not how we behave. It's not how I'm supposed to behave. You go through all of this and you know you're going to be fine. Even though you may not see yourself being fine, you may see bombs dropping all over you, you may be jumpy in the beginning, whatever it is, there's just a feeling inside of you, somewhere inside of you, like you will be fine. And I've come to a place where I almost feel, I want to say almost pity or sorry for people who think that the way that they're living is the only way to live. Because I just see that they've been fooled and misled. And I say that because, you know, I look at people who practice dark work, and I've listened to videos before about how they introduce people to this lifestyle. So they say, be your own God and find your own way and be independent. And they tell you stories, and they read these books, and they did this kind of spell, and they were worried, and they thought it was a backfire, and it's fine, nothing's gonna happen, and all this kind of stuff. And make people think that you are choosing what you want, because they paint an over sexualized, overstimulated lifestyle as something that is fun and something that you want to be a part of, and you're going to be a part of the in crowd. And they get all the name brand people with the name brand faces to show up, and these people are the mascots for this lifestyle, and they're the mascots for how amazing this is going to be. And truly, they're all pretending. If you've ever been to one of these events where all these cool people go to, it is lifeless. Everybody's just there. They don't talk to each other. It's not genuine. People are on their phones. The only time they come alive is when they pull those cameras out and they're pretending like they're having a great time and they're dancing. And you at home, you're watching the video and you're like, oh my God, it's so fun. I want to be there. And you get to know them and you're like, this person has no soul. It's like talking to an insect. Like, my cat has more of a personality. There's nothing going on inside here. There's nothing. The only time they light up is either gossip, tearing other people down, or talking about things. And I remember thinking, going places and thinking like, God, please don't tell me people want to talk about things again, because I'm gonna literally like claw my eyeballs out if I have to talk about nonsense today. There's no substance. And I literally remember thinking this to myself, like, the only time these people are having fun is when they pull out their phones. Otherwise, they're sitting there, they're always irritable, they're always like sucking their teeth, they're always unhappy, they're always moody, and you're like, what has happened? Why are they like this? And nothing fills them up. Like, it's just like a cycle of even being friends with these girls, sleep with guys you don't know, wake up the next day being satisfied, be complaining, chasing after guys that don't want you, that don't respect you, then being bitter, starting to use people, not liking other people, following people just to like talk about them, their clothes, what they did, spreading gossip. The gossip's malicious, the gossip's so scary that you're like, I will never speak to you again, but slowly but surely, I am never available, I'm terrified of you. That should not have been repeated at all, even if it's true. It's just, you go through so many of these where you're like, this is not working for me. The minute you get a new pencil, they're upset, you become their enemy. They start talking bad about pencils, then they start talking bad about you, then all of a sudden they don't want to be your friend anymore. It's like, this cannot be life until you find more peace in your own space with your own family. You know, so I came to a point very early in life, I'm like, I am not destroying any vacation experiences traveling with people. I will not. Maybe I can do a dinner, I'm not bringing my kids around you people. So there were many people who didn't even know I had kids. I shared none of my life, even basic information I did not share with them at all. I wanted nothing to do with them. They would be offended by that, but it's like, you want nothing to do with you if you're very honest. I'm not saying this to like put people down or make people feel like they're no good and this and that. It's like, you are living horribly. This is no way to live. You got to find some happiness and some peace. So you start looking at the way these people behave, the way they live, and you realize like there's no happiness inside of them. It's like insatiable. Gotta have more things, more things, more things, but there's like nothing going on. And they start this journey of doing spell work, this dark spell work, this esoteric work, being their own god. And it doesn't take too long before they have a god. That god being the devil, literally. Darkness, evil. And the way evil takes over your life is it puts you in servitude in a way that it takes away your free will. God doesn't take away your free will to the point where You have to be of service to God. You want to be around God because of how good it feels. You continue to cling. Every time things feel dismal, you're like, wait, I don't have to live like this. And you run over to pray, you run over to worship, you run over to do these things. But they have no choice. And nothing has shown me having no choice than what I'm going through. Because there are people here that have to work exhausted, they have to work sick, they have to work all night, they have to work around the clock, they have to work whether or not other people give up on the job or not. They are forced, they have no choice. They have to attack me every day. And it doesn't matter what is going on in their world. If they're losing things, if they're gaining things, if there's a deadline, if there's something to do, if there's a doctor's visit, there's nothing that excuses them from this service. And it's almost like this energy has excused them from their life. What they could decide to do for themselves, it's excused them from earning an income, having fun, taking a vacation. I remember very early on thinking to myself, if these people take their eyes off of me for 1 second, it's good. They know, or they feel that if they take their eyes off of me for 1 second, they're going to come back and have something to clean up. So they'd rather just keep their eyes on me. And I thought, well, how are they going to take a vacation? How are they going to do anything if they have to live like this? And I thought I would never want to go through this. Even, it's like not just one person, it's like a whole group of people that cannot take their eyes off of me. And the thing about focus is, if you know anything about spirituality and energy, is wherever you put your energy, wherever you put your focus, that's what grows. And so if you put your energy and your focus on other people, it becomes an obsession, but it doesn't pay. And really, your focus and your energy should be on yourself and cultivating things for yourself that are going to bring you benefit. And this is not bringing any benefit. In fact, people are losing things by focusing not just on me, but on TIs. And they may hide it, they may not say it, but it is the truth. If somebody compares where their life was before this obsession crept into their soul and where their life is today, they can draw a chart of how many they can make a long list of how many things they've lost, including peace, even hope in the future. The only hope is in beating me down. Like if they beat me down, they feel like if they beat me down, they're gonna get some hope in the future. Money, relationships, time, reputation. These people have lost their reputations. They've been exposed, and it's a downward cycle. It's a drain. But this is what happens when you work with these energies and you let these energies into your life, and you got to be so careful, because you start off with spell work. I don't care how long ago you started off with it. You start off with spell work and you think there's no karma because you think you're going to shield yourself from karma, and karma is going to be external, but the karma comes from inside of you. The karma is already inside of the ship. There's already water inside of the ship. It's like the water inside of the ship erupts, and this ship is going down whether or not there's a storm outside or not, because it's inside. And you are your own karma. You can't control it. You can't give this thing up. You can't give up this obsession. You don't know what's going on in your world. And doesn't matter who you blame. If it's a you problem, then it has to be addressed internally. And the thing is, once you've let this energy inside, it's already inside. Getting it out is another issue. Getting rid of these feelings, getting rid of this hate, this animosity, this envy that has seeped in and that has lived inside of you for so long, that's a whole new challenge. So it doesn't matter who you paint as your enemy, and you can continue to paint all kinds of people you just meet as your enemy. I heard something about this person didn't have to work for these gifts. We had to work for these. You can't make external things your focus, ever. It always has to be internal. So you could have served God and blessings would have abounded just naturally. Because I feel like we come here and we're supposed to have our blessings. We're supposed to have things happen for us. We're supposed to have good things happen. Good things are supposed to happen for you, and everything is supposed to work out for you. And you're supposed to have all of these things, but it's like you're the one that takes it away from yourself by what you pay attention to, by how you behave, by the person you allow yourself to become, by the things you allow yourself to invest in. And when it's your time, it's your time. Good or bad. When it's your time to have what is yours, you're going to have what is yours, no matter who or what attacks it. And what is your time to pay the consequences of the life you've lived, you're going to pay it. Doesn't matter how long it takes. In fact, I like to pay for whatever I did up front immediately. I like to apologize to God. I like to repent early. I don't like when karma gets patient. I don't like it. It's cooking something up that I do not want to eat. I'm not ready. I always like to go pay things forward even. People will look at you and look at good people as if we are stupid, as if we are weak, as if we're the idiots. The world is not like this. The world is not a good place. But the world is not a place. The world may be a physical, like you may see things like physically around you. 5 of us stand in the same supermarket, let's say, and 5 of us are living in 5 different portals, 5 different worlds. There's some of us here who are living in hell, and we can feel it. We are persecuted, we are demonized, we are stalked, we are whatever. Some of us live in heaven on earth, and to other people, they don't see it. They don't see any fancy things, they don't see any money, they don't see any of this, but we're at peace, we're happy. We go home and we're happy with what we have. We see so much blessings and abundance around us, and we have peace that maybe didn't come with money, maybe it didn't come with all of the other things other people say that they have, but I saw people every day being actively gang stalked, every day, that had a lot of things and no peace, that had a lot of money and lived in hell. And I thought, if this is how I have to have a lot of things, I'm not going to have a lot of things. If you have to have, I used to even look at people with like all of this crazy jewelry. I used to say to myself, what is the point of having a diamond ring that big? And you have to have all kinds of things in place in order. You can't go certain places, you can't take it with you. Like, it's scary. It's almost like people are happier not having much. Like, I hate to say it. It's almost like that's how I used to look at it. Like, you look at people who don't have much and they're partying every day and they're fine. And then I look at people who have a lot of bills, and I've gone from having a lot of bills that I would not have expected I could manage that much. And yeah, you are grateful for having it. Yeah, you like it. But like, every day when you lay down in bed, you also have to know that you have to keep going, because you have to maintain a lot. It comes with a lot of responsibility. So people do look at you as, maybe if you're a good person, that you're in a situation, like, you're the dumb one, you're the weak one, they're gonna get over on you or whatever. You know, you should have done this, or you should have done that, and you could have had this, and you could have had that, and they have more than you, and blah blah blah. Yeah, people look at you like that, but you have your freedom. You control your own life. No one can force you to do things that you don't want to do, regardless of how they try to force your hand, regardless of how many guns they have, how much money they have, how much power they have. Your free will remains yours because you kept it. You don't have to worry about anyone abusing you, beating on you, cheating on you. You know, the little that you have, people might look at, maybe, you know, if you have children, they might talk about your kids or your spouse or your possessions or whatever, but all of it is truly yours. All of it, it doesn't give you problems. They have to go out of their way to create problems that are not there, because there were no problems. And you just start realizing, if people have to live like this whole world is treacherous. The whole world that they're in is treacherous. And it came to a point where, as I was being gang stalked, it got really clear to me. I'm like, there is no way you want to make money like this. it's almost like by not getting the things that you want, you kind of, by other people, not, people won't believe it. The people gang stalking me probably didn't want to live this life. They don't. Now they can see why, maybe. Now they can see. If they didn't see before, this is no way to live. This is under a microscope. This is living under an eye. You look at gang stalkers in the beginning as they're gang stalking you, and you're thinking to yourself, they're evil, they're this and they're that. And the longer they gang stalk you, and you know, we're at a point now, it hasn't worked for a long time, and people don't have hope. They're not energetic anymore. They look exhausted, they look drained, they look irritated, they're dragging their feet. It's like now it's more than obvious that they are not in control of their life. They make it look from the outside like it's a big party and a celebration, it's prosperous, and it's for all they have is money, and the money is cursed. This is money that if you take cash from them, you got to cleanse it first. You can't keep their money. I repeat, if you are working and you take cash, you got to cleanse the money first. I would not take any money from them. My concern is getting money from them. The money is no good. If the money is cursed, what is the benefit? There is no benefit. They don't like each other. They don't like themselves. I'm not just saying that. I've been around these people. I see them together on the internet. They're besties. The birthday captions are a mile long. And then they come into my store and they slander each other. The most horrible things. They laugh at each other. I've never seen anything like it. I couldn't understand it in the beginning. So it's like you just don't want to be a part of that. You don't want to be a part of that. It's crazy. Best friends setting each other up and like all this kind of craziness. Like it's just like it's scary, to be honest with you. It's scary. That makes it very easy to resist this life because there's nothing here. There's nothing here even the money's unattractive. The money is no good. The money is like an illusion. It's a mirage. They put it in one hand, they take it in the other. It doesn't buy any happiness. It doesn't fill anybody up. And it makes them a target to each other. It's a world of chaos. And that's where you start seeing that it's because of the entities that have been assigned in this structure to assist in stealing. Entities don't help you create, they just give you tools to steal. So as these entities are going and they're giving people advice on how to steal joy, steal happiness, steal assets, steal whatever, you don't get the essence of it. As you work for something, you have to become the person who eventually, when you get the success, you look like the success because you've worked for it. So as you're working diligently towards something, there's the failures, there's the missteps, there's the reworking, the rebranding, the starting over, the this, the that, the third. And when you finally get there, it is very hard earned. You had to learn a lot of lessons to get here. So you walk with a certain aura, a certain confidence of a person who's earned things. When you steal things, you don't have the grooming that makes you walk in the aura of what you have. So if you came from a particular neighborhood or particular family, say it was low income, and you stole your way or cheated your way to get to a certain level, you're still going to look like a low income person in nice clothes. In fact, the clothes don't look nice anymore because your aura has degraded the clothing. It doesn't look as nice. It doesn't look polished. There are some people you can see across the street and you're like, that person smells nice. I can't smell them, but they smell nice. They look clean. They look fresh. They look educated. They look this. They look that. There's no name brand. It's just a white shirt and pants and, you know, shoes. That's it. A plain t-shirt, plain pants, plain shoes. And you're like, I can see that this person's successful because it's an aura that they carry. The success forces you to groom yourself. You have to constantly improve to get there. You improve the way you communicate, you improve the way you engage with people, you improve your posture. Everything goes through a process of grooming that takes time, and it's incremental, and even you don't see the evolution. People outside see it, but you don't see it. When you steal your way or cheat your way or sleep your way into things, you still look the same, and you degrade everything that you're around. You make everything look cheaper because there's been no grooming. You still speak the same way, you still behave. I remember I worked with someone, and little habits would come out that would kind of show what life this person lived before. So we would be at a golf course and we'd be somewhere very nice, and it's a very nice environment. People would leave things laying around the place. So it'd be like a box of cigars would be here, you know, like cigarettes would be left on the table, whatever. And he would walk around the tables and shake the boxes and put in his pocket, and I was mortified. That is the way, because not accustomed to things. I'm not saying this because I want people to think I'm looking down on people. I want people to understand that is how you develop a certain aura, is because you can't skip the work. You can't skip the work. So like people that came around me, I could always tell who they were. I could always tell that, no offense, this is a thief, because you have the watch, but it doesn't look right on your hand. You're not wearing the right socks with the shoes. The pants are not cut to the right length. You could just look at them and you can tell what they are trying to be. They are not around that. They did not, they don't fit. They don't fit in there. That's how they walk in the room, and it's like anybody in the room can see it. They might ask themselves, how comes I'm still wearing the brand or the this or that, and maybe people still don't associate with me or treat me. I went to a gala. It was the same thing. I could spot them all over the place. I could just see them. It doesn't matter how nice their hair and their makeup was. They didn't quite fit in. Not even quite fit in. They stuck out. They stuck out. This is how it is when you carry your aura with you. This you cannot change. It's not so much, sometimes people are not even psychic, but you can't change it. You can love bomb, you can go out of your way to be the nicest you can, but people can see in your heart that you have something to prove. They've seen your kind before, that if they open up to you even an inch, you're gonna start being a hater. You're gonna start competing and comparing. They can tell, you can see the difference between different people. You can see insecurity, and you can see all of these things, and it's like you got to work on this stuff on the inside so that you don't have to keep trying to fill yourself up on the outside with all of this stuff. So when you look at people, you can see human beings and what they bring to the table, and not necessarily, and what they bring to the table spiritually, energetically, not necessarily how you can use them and what you can gain from it. Every time you try to steal from people, you literally lose what you already had. You just become worse. Even if temporarily you hold on to it, it is not yours. Energy will remain like this forever. If you steal things, you are always going to be in need, because you're never going to have. These people have been energy harvesting for so long, and they're still broke. I've never met a rich dark witch. I keep trying to see it. I can't see it. Even ones that say, I wear Louis Vuitton, I do this and I do that. It's still a facade. There's no aura of wealth. There's no aura of, I want to be a part of that. There's happiness. It's always, I have to try to prove. It's always smoke and mirrors. I've never met a dark witch that made me think that I want to go dark. Never. Everything is always, it always vanishes. It always disappears. So all the people that I came around, all the gang stalkers, every last one, I'm talking every last one. I'm not saying that they're not people who live a certain lifestyle that they can show other people that other people are going to be fascinated with. I'm not saying no. Maybe other people who can't see through what's going on inside of them. Everyone that I met, no matter how much name brand, no matter what car, no matter what they had, Everyone that I met was empty on the inside, and all the things they had just was not painting the picture that they may see it, but I don't think other people see it that way. They may think I have the cars, I have this, I have the that, but other people don't really see it that way. Maybe some people do, but there are definitely people who look at it and who are just like, I don't know, not worth it. You serve all of this darkness, you serve all of this materialism, and then it comes down to the same thing at the end of the day. You're always wanting, you're always needy, you always continue to compare yourself to other people. You always want what other people have, even though you don't even have. They have, you might have literally more money than them, the capacity to earn more income than them. You might have a bigger house in a better neighborhood. You might have better cars. You might have friends who have all of this. So why are you envious of other people who have less than you? What was the point of going to get all of this stuff and still being a hater, still not liking people, still being still unhappy, still having these voids inside? What is the point of serving what you serve on this altar and still having to steal and still losing and constantly chasing and being on a treadmill? Because it's on a treadmill, you don't ever arrive anywhere, but you're running a lot of energy being expended for no money, for not being any further ahead. If you go through your targeting and you stand your ground and you maintain your life and maintain yourself, they start working for free because they cannot deliver. Because your happiness and your peace does not come from the things that they're trying to take from you. It doesn't come from not having your home. It doesn't come from not having things. It doesn't come from that. Your peace doesn't come from the things that you wear. It really, like, you're going to be at peace anywhere you go. And anywhere you go, things are going to flourish. If they know that if they withdraw their hand from you for 5 seconds, in those 5 seconds, something's going to sprout. They know that. That's what they envy. But they can have it. They can have it. They can change internally. They can make different decisions. They can decide they don't want to live like that. They can say, I don't want to be hateful. I want to. If you want what somebody else has, literally, it's God. I remember like years back, people would be like, girls would come up to me and they'd be like, how did you build your business? And I'm like, I'm trying to tell them it's God, and then they get disinterested and they're like, yeah, okay, and they walk away. And it was to the point where I started trying to make up an answer to that question and find practical things I could say, because I'm like, it is God. It's faith in God. I don't know how I'm gonna do anything. I just have faith. It's like the people who went to buy the furniture have no idea how they're gonna come home with all that furniture on a Sunday evening. Try finding people to come out of their house to move you on weekends. On a Sunday evening, someone's relaxed at home. They definitely do not want to come out and do anything. Like, you need to pre-book these things. That's faith in God. That's basically knowing that you are a good person, and that's why things are going to work out in your favor. That is really it. I'm a good person and it's going to work out. Even going through gang stalking, how crazy it was, how many people that you see that are up against you, you're like, this is not my life. This is not going to work. Even you have those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, how this seems insurmountable. How's this going to happen? And then you come right back to it where you're like, it's not going to work. This is not my life. This is weird. I have never lived like this. And it's true. If you maintain, you're gonna find that things will recover and they will come back in place on their own. You just have to do the work of maintaining your vibration. It's your vibration that you're maintaining. It's your energy that you're maintaining. Losing things on this journey is inevitable if it is an ascension for you, and I think it is an ascension. I definitely feel like it is an ascension. When I first said that, I'm like, I don't want to violate anybody because I know that there's a lot of suffering happening here, but it is an ascension. You change through this process. You're not going to be the same person who comes out of this. You're going to be a better version of yourself, and you're going to be a version of yourself that can handle this kind of thing, that understands that as long as your vibration remains pure, where you can reach God and God can reach you, and you cling to God and you stay close to God and you maintain. I've gone through all of this and I can still feel love. I can still feel hope. I can still feel peace, feeling it. You're not blocked from it with pain. You're not blocked from it with anger. You're not blocked from it with things that you haven't healed. So you can still feel, excuse me, you could still be a good person. You still want to help people. Then they've really taken nothing from you. Your aura is in place. That's what the abundance comes from. It comes from the aura. And when you don't have that aura, you have to steal, you have to hate, you have to do all that because you're not attractive to people. You're not. You're not attractive to people. There's something about your face that says, like, do not disturb. There's something about your vibration in a room that is very caustic, I want to say. There's something about you that, like, is repelling to other people because the aura speaks for itself. And then there's people that just sit there and everybody that walks by is attracted to them, and somebody's going to say hi eventually, if not everybody. They magnetize people. You don't need anything to do that. You could literally just be in a white t-shirt. You don't need makeup, you don't need surgery, you don't need fast cars, you don't need to be skinny, you don't need to be tall, you don't need to be anything. It's your face, it's your aura that attracts people. And people say, I want to do for you. Even when I was being gang stalked, I don't think some of these gang stalkers were maybe supposed to spend as much or maybe supposed to like me. They definitely were not supposed to like me. They were not supposed to want to help me. They were not supposed to want to you know, keep in touch or whatever. You could see them change. I would say to my kids all the time, you notice how they walk in, you notice how they walk out. They're like, yeah. It's almost like they came in, very quickly got convinced, and then they behaved differently instantly. Like they came in and they were meant to laugh at the store because in the beginning we had to fix the store. I didn't want to invest anything in until I figured out what I was doing. And you could see that they wanted to come in a certain way, but as they went through the racks, as we helped them, as we talked to them, all of that changed. And before you know it, the people monitoring on the outside are watching these people come in one after the other, giving hugs, holding my hands. They would come just to like laugh, and then they start searching for something to buy. So we start having to have things in a price range of people that just wanted to buy to support. And you get the sense that people just want to help you to help you. They started giving me advice. They're like, change this, do this, get lighting, do this, do that. And I didn't know they were gang stalkers because they weren't behaving that way. They were so supportive, they were so kind. And I don't think that was the experience that I had to have. And I know that the people in charge of gang stalking me were having a difficult time because it's not supposed to go that way. She's supposed to be persecuted. So it's to the point even today, people just don't want to support because they're going to be persecuted for supporting me because they probably can't see the things that people are seeing. They just can't see it. They can't understand when they come around, and you can see it in their vibration that they are looking, they're squinting, they're searching. Where is the thing that they told us this person has? Like they said this person is this and that. Like where is it? And they're poking, and this has been for years. People have come around me and they've said to me, honestly, this is not what I heard about you. You're actually a nice person. In gang stalking, that was the #1 statement. You're a nice person. You're a good person. You are a good person. Over and over, people would say it. Even though I knew somebody was, it's like I couldn't help it. You know, like you can't help but be who you are. I used to be upset at myself, like, oh my God, I cannot believe I just gave this person advice, or I just told them something or whatever. I know who they are. I know what they are. Why would I do that? But honestly, that is your blessing. Your blessing is the vibration that you have. It's the aura that you have. It's the energy that you've allowed in that carries you through. That energy of love, Everywhere you go, that is what people feel when they see you. They don't see what other people told them to laugh at. They don't see the things that other people told them. They just know what they feel is they feel comfort, they feel warmth, they feel understood, they don't feel judged, they feel helped, they feel compassion, and that's what they're going to experience around you, and that's the vibration that you need to maintain, and that's what's going to carry you through all kinds of storms, unfortunately. And people will do everything in their power. Listen, literally, as I was showering before I came here, that energy of anger, of rage came, and I was like, oh, we're not doing that today. Brush that right off. It has to go back. It's not, you come to the point, you've used all the sage, you've done all of these things, and then you start realizing, and it's not, these cleansing materials are important, but you just get to the point where as soon as you recognize what's going on here, as soon as you recognize that these are projected feelings, you just reject it. You're like, this is not mine. When you're walking around outside and people are surrounding you and people are trying to do things to make you uncomfortable, and there's somebody sitting somewhere trying to project anxiety into your aura, as soon as you recognize, even with having no sage outside, as soon as you recognize what they're doing, because you have experience, as soon as you recognize what they're doing and what they're trying, you just push it off of you and you move forward. This process here will teach you as you go through your cycles of having, like I went through my cycle of having, not knowing how to manage a lot of emotions that were being projected at me that were not mine. I went through a bunch of persecution, was never angry. So why am I so angry now? Feeling depression that is not yours, if you're not a depressed person, if you're feeling nervous of things that are not yours, I realized that people have probably been trying to project this feeling of being worried about money onto me that I don't have for myself. And the only way that I realized that it was is that they kept saying, I was watching readings and they're like, somebody's worried about money. And I'm like, who? And I'm like, oh, I guess that's what I'm supposed to feel. I guess that's what they're projecting. But you have to remember, in order for someone to project something, they got to feel it first. They got to conjure the feeling up. It's very hard to conjure some of these feelings up. If you're rich, how do you find a mentality of being worried about money if there's an ease? If you are financially abundant, I can tell you, it's hard to conjure it up. If you're happy because things are going your way, it's hard to conjure up hate because you're vibrating way too far away from it. You have to feel it to project it. So people who are hateful are able to project hate. People who are anxious can have an abundance of anxiety to send your way. People who are in a rage can send you that kind of rage. People who are worried about money can send it. But if your vibration is not there, then it cannot happen. You can't feel it. It could even literally be around you, but you don't have the necessary receptors to feel it. It's like God is love, but if you do not have love receptors in you, there is nothing for it to attach to. I talk about like spell work needs a hook. There is no hook for the love to attach to. So you literally cannot feel love. Once you start working in dark magic, you can't feel love. You can't. You have to dull your conscience completely to be able to do that kind of work. If you do not have a conscience, you do not have the voice of God inside of you, you can't feel love. So trying to be in relationships with people like this is like scary to you because they can't feel love. It's not that they don't want to love you, they cannot feel it. I think a lot of these people can't feel anything at all. I think their feelings are what they sacrifice. And they constantly want you, demonic energies and secret societies want you to sacrifice your feelings. They always say things like, we catch flights, not feelings. You could catch flights with feelings. Was there like some kind of thing when you bought the ticket that said no feelings allowed? What? Catch a flight where? Feelings are your magic. That's how you manifest. And that's how you can gauge if you're in the right frequency. How can you do magic without feeling? If you can only feel low things, then you can only destroy. You're a destroyer. You're not a manifester. You're not a creator. You can only destroy. That is your gift, to destroy. If you think it's a gift, it's a curse. to only destroy. That means you can't create anything. Even if you were given the best gift that God had to give, the greatest blessing on the planet, you would destroy it. You would take it away from yourself and you would live in regret because you cannot handle good things. You can't handle anything, as a matter of fact. The only thing you can do is destroy. You're your own worst enemy. You are cursed. That's what it means. God could give you the best wife, you'd abuse it. The best husband, you cheat, you turn them evil and hateful, just like you. All the money in the world, you'd squander it. The best house, it's like nothing will grow or even could maintain its goodness around you if all you can conjure up is these feelings. This is the part that no one explains to them before they start lighting these candles and doing this work. This is the sacrifice. You give up your aura, you give up your goodness, you give up your magic by constantly vibrating at this level of hell. Actually, this is the vibration of hell. All of these things, not being able to feel compassion for people, is the vibration of hell. So you're gonna live in hell no matter where you go. You're gonna bring that with you. No matter how many flights you catch, whatever vacations you go on, there's no happiness, there's no peace, there's no solace. And when you see people with it, you're gonna constantly envy them no matter how much they have. No matter how much you compare yourself. It's like trying to compete with a person who, like, you have more things in them and they have like no desire to have it. It's very difficult to compete with that because they're not gonna play the same game as you. They're not gonna get up and dress up and do all of the same things and take pictures and whatever. They're just gonna be themselves. If anything, you frustrate their vibration, they're gonna pull away from you. So all you've done is robbed yourself of an opportunity to learn how to be like that, or an opportunity to participate in that. You want to learn how to be that. You don't want to compete with it. If God puts you in proximity to somebody that has something that you want, you don't beat them away. You don't repulse them. You don't make them disgusted of you. You try to bring them closer. You try to get to know what they're doing, understand them, especially if it's a helpful person that would do it for free, that wouldn't mind seeing you flourish, that would love to see you do better, that would love to see you grow, that would never throw it back in your face. That's how good people are. Good people have a desire to constantly improve other people. So when you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly like depleting people and destroying people, you're really taking away from yourself. When you make people like you are never gonna grow or improve. Everything stagnates at your level. Nothing can go higher. So anyway, when I look at TIs that have been at TIs for like many, many years, I still think it is crazy how compassionate they still are, how loving they still are. And if that is not evidence of being an earth angel, then I don't know what else is. To have gone through literally people trying to pull you into hell with them and still maintaining the goodness that's in your heart, despite still suffering and maybe not having the knowledge to not suffer, but despite still suffering, being an amazing person, I just still feel like they can't beat that out of you. They can't beat the goodness out of you. And that's what irritates them more than anything, is the fact that you're a good person, you're loving, you know, people like you, people are going to be attracted to you regardless of what you're going through or, you know, what's around you or what you're losing. They are still kind people, respectful people, irregardless. And it's shocking to me that even some of them that maybe are not religious still understand the importance of forgiveness. What I had to talk about today, I'm going to mention a couple of things that I think are best practices for TIs. And maybe I will list this, but anyway, so first things first, you must evolve in order to exit the situation. And you might think that you need practical solutions to this stuff, but it's the same thing for every situation. No situation, you cannot graduate from anything in life the same way you got in. The same person that got in this mess is not the person that is going to get out of this mess. The same person that was earning 50 cents a day is not the same person that can earn $5 a day. There's a lot of evolution that happens between 50 cents and $5. The same person who got themselves into a quagmire is not the same person who's going to get themselves out of it. You got to evolve out of your situation. There were things that you did here to get here, whether it's low boundaries, whether it's getting people get away with disrespecting you, whether it's not retaliating. And I don't mean retaliating as in seeking revenge, but I mean, for example, if somebody does something that is illegal and you do not report it as a crime, as whatever, then they're going to continue to do things like that. You need to stand up for yourself. So and it doesn't matter, even, for example, the same person who gained all the weight is not the same person who's just going to lose all the weight by doing the same things, eating the same way at the same times, not exercising, not doing this, it doesn't work that way. You have to evolve in order to exit. So if you are still the same person who found yourself targeted, then you have to leave. I've thus far only met one positive target. One person who is positive and is like, I need to evolve, and constantly looking for ways and means in order to leave this, this world. So you have to evolve in order to exit this situation. And part of the evolution is accepting what's in front of you. This is a spiritual path. I just accepted it. This is spiritual. There are energies at play here. A lot of people understand that the evil that they feel is so pure that it has to be demonic. There's no convincing yourself out of it. No matter what you believe, you're experiencing evil itself, like the actual energy of evil. So you need to cloak yourself in the energy of love. That is the energy of God, but also need to accept that a lot of the remedies are not going to be practical. You can medicate yourself against spiritual attacks that are health related all you want, and it's not going to cure you. We had a cat that was under attack, and no matter how much we took it to the vet and what medications we paid for, it didn't matter. The only thing that worked was spiritual healing, were spiritual methods, spiritual practices. That's all that healed our cat. That's all that keeps our cats alive. That's all that keeps us healthy, is spiritual practices. Everything outside of it is just maybe aiding, maybe helping, but you have to accept the things, the evidence that's in front of you. You just have to accept what it is, regardless of what anybody thinks of you. People definitely laughed at me for my beliefs, for the bulk of me going through gang stalking. People definitely laughed at me, and I think that now it is beyond dispute that whatever I believe in must be something correct because of how I've gotten through the situation. You need to be productive. That includes things like positive habits, like productive habits, waking up early, trying to get to bed on time, trying to maintain being in peace, grooming and taking care of yourself. And I'm not saying you need to go out of your way to, if that is you, if you've always been that person, then yes, return to that because that's what you like. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out of your way. But if you allow yourself to fall into not taking care of yourself and looking like you're being persecuted, that's what people are looking for, is to take away from you, that beauty that you have when you walk into a room, that people respect you, all of that. They're trying to take that away from you. So you do have to take care of yourself. You have to observe yourself closely, observe your behaviors. the habits that you're forming, the lifestyle that you're falling into. I know for myself, when I first started being targeted, I noticed that I didn't unpack my house fully. I stopped decorating. I stopped, having routines that were very critical for me, like cleaning my home on certain days. I was overworking. I didn't have days off, like all kinds of things. You have to observe yourself to see the patterns of behaviors that you're developing. And then you have to make changes. You have to make changes because you have to ask yourself, am I gonna always live like this? I can't live like this. Like, one of the things that I wanted to have stores, but I also recognized that I couldn't trust employees. And I was asking myself, when am I ever gonna take a vacation if I have a physical location? Like, how am I going to still enjoy life? Because there's no point in having anything that I have if I cannot enjoy my life. I'm just working to pay for things. Like, I don't want to live like that. So as soon as I gave a lot of this stuff up, I'm like, oh, I'm finally free. So it really, look at what is most important, but look at yourself, look at your emotions, look at your health, observe yourself, and focus on yourself more intently than you focus on anything else. I say put God first. I have a saying, it's God first, God always. I put God before everything. I put God before myself. I put God before my kids. I put God before everything, because I know that if I put God first, everything else is going to be in line. And whatever I put ahead of God, I'm just making a mistake. I'm fooling myself, and I'm probably going to lose it anyway. So I put God first, and I put God in everything that I do, and I'm constantly grooming that relationship and maintaining it, because it is a relationship. If you have a relationship with a person, it takes constant grooming and constant attention. So that's how I see it. You're on the right path. This is something that I have to repeat all the time, because I know that it's going to feel like you took a wrong turn somewhere. If you're really observant, you will see that you're on the right path, and you will see that as you adjust to everything that happens, it puts you even closer to exiting this situation. So you cannot ignore taking care of things. So what I mean by that is, say for example, I had a desire in my heart for me to have more peaceful days, days that I have to myself, days that I don't have to constantly be outside in public around people. And, then I had the lease of my store not renewed. Actually, it was renewed and then it was taken away. After going through all of that, while going through it, I was like, actually, to be honest, I was nervous, because I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? But I also knew, like, I'm gonna adjust to it as I adjust to everything else. And then I find myself in a place that I'm in today, where it's like my hands have been untied. And only after someone does something to you do they realize it's a mistake. They have since spent a lot of time trying to get me back into another store. And maybe in hindsight being 50-50, they might have wanted to bind me to a store, maybe put me into a long-term lease instead of getting the leasing lady to get rid of me, perhaps getting the leasing lady to put me into a couple years long contract where it would have binded me to that debt, forced me to work, and that would have been a better plan. But this is how envy works against people. They keep saying, come back. When's your location? When are you open? Because they want access to me physically that they cannot have. They can't put me in a location to bombard me with spell work. So trust that you're on and this has been the case with every move that has been made on this checkerboard here. Every single move, everything that someone tries to take away from you, God allows them to take it away because you should not have it. You just have to ride the wave. Ride the wave. Ride the wave. If they work to get your house taken away, they work to get things taken away from you, that's debt you didn't need. If they work to slander you, they're making you popular. They're making your belief. They may want to block this channel, but they've already spread the word of what I believe in across my entire city. Everybody knows that my beliefs are unconventional. Everybody knows what I believe in. So they've already done the work of spreading the word of spreading the word on my behalf. This is who I am, this is what I believe in. So it's like one vessel, two hands fighting itself, one trying to make sure no one knows about me or bury me or isolate me, and on the other hand, making me literally famous as I try to cloak and cover myself and not be out there. The slander machine is working overtime, and that's one machine. When it gets going, it goes on its own. It has a life of its own. Let me tell you, people love a salacious story, so it's like people are going to continue talking about me long after, for years to come. For years to come, people are going to have my name in their mouth. It's made me infamous, really. So every single loss is a gain in another way. Every single loss directs you to where you have to go, and you just have to stay the course, because life is going to just continue playing itself out. No matter what you do, you win either way. You have to walk the path. And I know that saying that, when people are suffering and they're in grief and they're feeling like they're in loss, it's how you look at your situation. You could definitely look at your situation and be like, I lost all of this stuff. But let me tell you, I go into malls and there are vacant locations everywhere I go, with big box brand stores. Like, big stores are going out of business. So I would have been in a store right now in this year, terrified, struggling to make sales, struggling to do whatever, because the economy was just no good in general. The economy has been no good for a while. It's like a silent storm that no one's talking about. So either way you look at it, you have to just try to see the silver lining on everything that happens. Not everything you're going to see the silver lining on. You're like, oh, this shouldn't happen, that shouldn't happen. But eventually things work out. So you just have to walk the entire path. There's no other path to walk. Don't stagnate here. Don't not learn lessons. Don't not evolve. And that goes into the next point, which I don't need to elaborate now, but just trust the process to guide you to where you need to go. Believe me, somebody's going to be inspired to conjure up some plan that's going to get you to where you need to go. No matter where you need to go is, somebody's going to drum up the plan to make it uncomfortable for you. If you right now were content with A, they're going to try to take A away from you, which is going to make you scramble off to B. That is the point now. Had they left you with A, you would have not considered B. You would have not moved. You would have stayed exactly where you were. You would have been content with less. So trust your process to push you along and to guide you. You miss every shot you don't take. That was a quote that I couldn't remember yesterday. That's what Michael Jordan said. Just take shots and just know that, like, 80-90% of them are not gonna land. It's not gonna work, and you just got to continue taking a shot and doing something new. That's how you walk your journey. Each step gets you one step closer. And as far as that goes for being a target, as far as missing every shot you don't take, there are some people who are not trying to find ways to cleanse. They're not trying to find solutions. They're complaining. They're waiting for the world to help them. You got to help yourself. You have to participate in your own evolution. You have to participate in finding your way. People think God's going to whisper secrets to you. No. It's parables. God gives you parables. Like, release that which doesn't serve you. You have no idea what this means. You're going to go through 14 solutions before you understand, like, what that means. It might take 14 months. Like, God is not, the whole point is for you to learn and evolve. The whole point is for you to not just learn and evolve to leave because it's some sort of crash course. It's learning and evolved because it's the evolved version of you that can walk the path out of here. This version of you is not equipped for what is on the other side of here. You have to be able to handle, you're being prepared for what you asked for, because you need preparation for what is coming your way. You're not there yet. Spiritual cleansing and protection is mandatory. I look back in hindsight, I was suffering a lot of things that were unnecessary because I didn't know how to spiritually clean. I didn't know, and it's a constantly evolving thing. Um, there are basic things that I've shared. I now don't bother sharing everything because I realize it is a journey people have to go on. There are readers, I can see what kind of work is being sent their way. I don't say anything simply because I just feel like the journey is in learning. First, you don't cleanse, then you cleanse and things get healed, and then you have to learn the consistency, and then you have to learn that this becomes a lifestyle for you. This is just how it's going to work. I don't think that being gang stalked is really the end of spell work for me. Not really. I'll be honest. I know it's not the end of spell work. I think it's just the beginning of this journey. I know it's not the end of persecution. I know it's not the end of harassment. I think the devil is going to trade hands. It's going to continue to pop up in my life the way that it constantly has. And you have to see it that way. There is going to be no day where life is going to have it's just not going to have this kind of problem. I've had problems in the past. I had those kinds of problems. And God said, you're never going to have these problems again. Well, now I have new problems, different problems. And to be honest, when I think about it, because I thought about it today, I thought, because I evolved from those problems, I thought to myself, I wish maybe if I had those problems, it wouldn't be as hard. No, I just know how to get through those problems. I wouldn't want those problems again. I wouldn't want those problems again. Nobody wants problems, no matter what they look like. Even if you have the skills to manage them, you don't want it. But new things are going to come up that you're going to need to navigate, and it is what it is. Now that you know what it feels like, you know how to heal it, you know how to cure it, God can feel confident to allow you to move to the next step. If you do not spiritually cleanse and protect, you're going to remain a victim of all kinds of things. You're going to look a mess. Your life is going to be a mess. You're going to be a walking mess. Results are incremental. Number 9, results are not going to be fast. Everything is incremental. It's a little at a time. It's to the point where changes are happening and everybody in the situation can't even see the changes that are happening until you look back to a year ago, 2 years ago, and you see how far things have come. It takes reflection to see these kind of results. So when you start on things, you got to maintain habits. Then you're going to see how things evolve and grow for you. Number 10, people know you're not lying. Your neighbors, your friends, your family, or your old friends, your family, whatever. Like, people know you're not lying. They've been approached. They're in agreement. Please stop trying to prove this to people. Stop trying. No, it doesn't matter if it's like gang stalking is covert and under the table or if it's out loud. How many things are out loud and nobody cares? There's a whole war on a country and it's genocide, and who cares? People don't care. They're not gonna care when they don't care. They don't care. People are gonna support countries that do treachery anyway. They're gonna support people that do treachery anyway. So they know you're not lying for a fact. For a fact. Anybody that's around me, the minute I say I'm gang stalked, maybe they might now understand what has been going on, but people know you're not lying. So don't help them in gaslighting you into saying, like, I don't know what you're talking about. They know what you're talking about. And chances are they're probably going to get gang stalked themselves. I would not worry about it. I don't know if this makes anybody feel better, but karma is already here for the people persecuting you. It's been here for a while. Practitioners learn to hide spell work backfiring. It's not good for business. You're not supposed to let people know that this stuff can backfire or they wouldn't start. They wouldn't pay you. And it doesn't just backfire on the practitioner, and they know that. They can see it. So it's like a he who has eyes can see type of thing. I walk around in public and I can see what is a natural consequence of something, and I can see what is a backfire. People who are in the spiritual world can see. You can see what's happening. You can see it. The same spell work they send at me, they send at the tarot readers, and you can see it. You can see as these people are going through things. So If you have the eyes that you can see what's going on. Karma is not as slow as you might think. Sometimes karma is very fast, but karma too is incremental. Karma gets crazier the longer it stays on you, the longer it seeps in, the longer you're unrepentant, the longer you continue not learning a lesson. It gets louder and louder and louder until the energy almost wants to decimate you. So you have to be someone who can adapt to what is going on. And there's some practitioners you can see slowly but surely there's certain things they don't want to do, or they learned from doing it one time and they don't want to deal with it again. And then there's some that just have the stomach to persist and take losses and let everybody around them take losses as well, and they are the bad luck at that point. Number 12, emotional healing is a perpetual thing. It's not like a one-time thing. I can just tell you, I've had to heal the entire way through here. I just recognize that if I waited to heal this thing, at the end of it, it wouldn't work. I wouldn't even know where to start. I would be buried under things. I have to constantly heal. I have to constantly let go of things. I have to constantly, and it's like incremental. So it's like, it might be one healing, might take so many months, and I have to do it in pieces as I can manage. But all healing, maybe not all healing is incremental, but some of these emotional wounds are going to take a while. Like if somebody very close to you hurt you, it's not all in one day, 1 week, month, whatever. Like it takes time to get there. But it is something that you have to do, or you lose your magic, you lose your gift, you lose your ability to attract good things to you, to feel goodness, and to enjoy goodness in your life. 13, complaining stagnates healing and recovery. All TIs do is get into a habit of complaining. There is much to complain about, don't get me wrong. There's much to be irritated about. One piece of advice I have is you start complaining and you need to pull yourself back. You start getting angry, you need to pull yourself back. You start in negative behavior, you pull yourself back. That's how it works. We tend to think that it is that you never feel it ever at all. That's not how it works. You get into a habit of pulling yourself back from this behavior so much and controlling yourself that eventually it gets to the point where it can't even come. I've dealt with rage, anxiety, all these things being projected so long and so much that it has gotten to the point where I can, as soon as I catch myself, oh, and then I pull it back. I'm like, this is not mine. And I immediately go back to whatever aura I'm supposed to be in. But that's how it works. Even if there's a day that it almost works, you catch yourself and you pull yourself back. And number 14, which is the last one, focused energy is results. So you need to focus your energy in the direction that is prosperous for you. That is, I know some people here think that the prosperous direction is destroying someone that has God's favor. Good people have God's favor. Good people are good people because of God's favor, because they can feel God's love in their life. So that is not how you get prosperous. If you're going to steal from anybody, do not steal from people that God favors. So you need to focus your energy on becoming a new person, healing, evolving. Focused energy on every day waking up and saying, how can I improve myself? When I first started working on the anxiety, I realized it wasn't people following me. It was the way that I felt when they followed me. I had to work on the anxiety incrementally. It took a while. It took months of dedicated practice to not feeling that way. It's going to take a while to feel normal around people again. Whatever it is that you're going through, you have to continue to focus your energy on that every single day. Focusing your energy on going the opposite way from where you're being led. Focusing on love. Focusing on happiness. Focusing on things that are supposed to work in your favor. There are going to be people sitting there writing down ways, brainstorming ways to destroy you. There's someone sitting writing this down for the purpose of destroying. And all that's going to happen is next week it's going to be worse. Next month it's going to be worse. The month after that, it's gonna dwindle. It's gonna continue to spiral out of control. You gotta learn from your lessons. Like, learn, accept what is in front of you. You're being targeted, but you're not the only one. There are people surviving as targets. I talk about this. Political figures, celebrities, people who have a lot of money have adapted to being targeted. They may be gang stalked in the same way, followed around in the same way as you. They're just not, they just don't know. They haven't added the anxiety onto it. They haven't gone out of their way to make it overt, but they are still being trailed, still being followed, still being, everybody that they go to and around, the people in their company, they're surrounded in the same way as you. They just don't know. They went out of their way for you to know. There are people who are surviving as targets. Take your attention from the drama and from these people and start pouring your attention back into yourself. You don't need to know everything they're doing in order to manage it. As long as you observe yourself in your life and everything around you very closely, you will see as things begin to change, incremental change comes in, and you can make the necessary changes to make sure that none of their plans evolve. None of their plans will take seed. I am really good at that, making sure that nothing takes seed in whatever they're doing. They had a plan, they were walking me down one way, I saw it for what it was, and I said, I'm not doing that. I switched lanes. So you got to do the same thing. You are who you have to focus on. Focus your energy on best practices, things that lead you to a better life. Even if you're going to be here and be stalked and harassed by these people, even if you're here, you don't have to participate in drama. You can leave. That is not your portal. You can be beside someone living in hell, and you can be in another portal, and that's what you have to focus on, is your place where you reside, which is whatever you want it to be. If it's going to be peace, if it's going to be happiness, prosperity, but just know it's incremental. Don't give up because things are not right away. If I had to give up because things didn't work in 6 months, a year and a half, I would not be where I am now. It's a matter of taking your time with it and giving God time to heal your situation. So anyway, that is all I have to say for today. I'm not going to pull any cards because it's gone on too long. But thank you and have a great day.